Hey, this is Serena with TrendyCellular.com, and I am reviewing the Sony Ericsson C902 phone today with the 5-megapixel CyberShot camera. Obviously, with a camera of that quality, the reason you're going to buy this phone is primarily if you're really interested in taking pictures and video. It's kind of cool, the lens pops out like that. But we'll get to that in a little bit. First and foremost, feel. It's really heavy in the hand, which I like. It feels a little durable to me. I like it because I tend to wildly gesticulate, and I know that it won't go flying out of my hand. For some people, it might feel a little cumbersome, but I sort of equate weight with quality, so I like that aspect of it. It's also really thin, and I think that these silver lines going around the perimeter sort of contribute to that optical illusion of it being even thinner. I personally find them a little bit tacky, but to each his own. It is, considering there's a 5-megapixel camera housed in here, and a very good one at that, it really is rather small and very streamlined. In terms of the screen is really big, but it's a bit of a tease, because while it looks as though it spans the entire width of the phone, once you open it up and it pops up at all, can't really see it, but there's a bar. It's narrower actually, the way the screen pops up, which makes sense to a degree because of the touch screen buttons on the camera. But it also seems a little silly if you're gonna have a screen this big, use the whole screen, right? Probably my biggest qualm with the entire phone are the keys. They look relatively nice, most of them are sort of shiny black plastic. There are a couple of matte black plastic ones here, but there are a couple of things that drive me crazy about the keys on this phone. First of all, there's no dedicated back key. So depending on the application you're using, the back key kind of jumps all over the place to different soft keys and whatnot. So sometimes you're in one application and you know your muscle memory, you get kind of used to pressing the right upper hand key to be the back key, and all of a sudden that's the select key. So that's a little annoying. I would venture you'd probably get used to it after just a little bit of time, but at least in the beginning, it's a little obnoxious. 2, this is, I think, a major oversight. You can't customize your soft keys, which is crazy to me because everyone's priorities are different. Not everyone wants to have their contacts and media, as it's laid out on this phone, as the things that are housed in the soft keys. So I don't really like the fact that I can't change that around. 3rd, probably my biggest issue with the phone overall is the keys themselves. They are really stiff, and oftentimes it takes multiple strokes for them to be responsive, which if you're just a regular phone user and you're not texting a ton, isn't such a big deal. You can still browse through web pages, you can still make your calls, that's fine. But if you're a text addict like I am, I send probably 70 texts a day, it's really exasperating because it triples the time that it takes to send a text message. But just to look at it, it's rather nice looking, it's streamlined, it's kind of sexy, sophisticated, sleek, a lot of S words. So that's about it for the feel of the camera. In terms of the applications, obviously the biggest draw here is the camera. It's nice that you can't see it when you're just looking at the phone. It's completely hidden. All you have to do, though, is just pull this open, and the lens pops up with kind of this fun little blue bar. And then also on the other side, you have this touch screen here with all these blue buttons. I really like the blue. They're really well illuminated. It's high contrast, and they do disappear a little bit when you're out in direct sunlight, but because there's only a few of them, I would think that within a week or so you'd get so used to what they are, you'd have them memorized, it wouldn't really matter. But it is nice, especially in an indoor environment. They definitely stand out really nicely. The camera itself is really good. I mean, it's 5 megapixels. There are a slew of elements and ways to customize. There's flash built in. You can have that auto or off. You can change from portrait to landscape orientation. You can do something really cool with creating panoramic pictures, where you can take multiple pictures and they'll sort of bring them all together. There are all the regular digital camera settings that you would expect, zoom obviously, and then settings for if you're outside or if you're taking a portrait. They also have a really cool function for face recognition. It doesn't work perfectly when there are multiple subjects, it tends to only parse out one of the subjects, but one is better than none. I'll take it. And the pictures are really good quality. My only qualm really with the pictures themselves is that when you go back into playback mode and you try to zoom, it takes a couple of seconds for it to focus once it's zoomed in a little bit. And I'm young and impatient, and I don't like to wait for the zoom. But the pictures are good. The pictures are really good. It has this touch screen here, which is good in theory. It's novel, certainly, but it's a little bit of a tease. It's like you're using the touch screen, and then you kind of just want your whole phone to be a touch screen. All of a sudden you have iPhone envy, and you're like, well, that's not good because I still am functioning with a totally regular keypad. But you can switch between the still camera function and the video camera function, go into playback mode. You take the picture right up here, so it's like you hold it just like a regular camera. And then you can play around with a lot of the other little elements, you know, like whether you want it to be in black and white or whether it's a portrait or an outdoor shot, flash, things like that. That can all be done via touchscreen. Once you actually take the picture, however, you have to use these soft keys on the side to navigate, which I think is a little silly. So you take a picture, and then it saves, which takes a second or two. And then all of a sudden all of your touchscreen keys disappear, and you have to use these little soft keys on the side to see where to go next, which to me sort of defeats the purpose of a touchscreen. But I mean, it is sort of impressive, I suppose. Again, I think, you know, like go big or go home. Make it a touchscreen or don't. In terms of the video camera, the quality isn't bad. I haven't used video on a lot of phones, but in terms of the picture quality, I was pretty happy with it actually. The sound quality was sort of erratic and often really quiet. It had a sort of echoic quality, and even when I recorded in a room like this where there was like very little ambient noise and my subjects were very clearly talking, it was still really quiet in the replaying. So I would guess you could just like play around with that a little, but even when I played the demo played much, much louder. So I don't think it has to do with volume settings or anything like that. You might just have to have your subjects really yell in the videos. So that's the camera and the video camera. Oh, and I really like the fact that, you know, as I said before, that it's hidden. Not only does it make it much sleeker, but it'll keep all the debris and everything out of the lens, which is great when you're like throwing this into your purse and it's always like constantly